Reports that a ceasefire had been reached for 2 weeks, that the Strait of Hormuz was going to be open. As a matter of fact, at 6 a.m. this morning, the White House was putting out on Truth Social and X, hey, this is a great day for world peace. And then something happened. We're going to talk about what it was. A combination, I think, of maybe getting your wires crossed or maybe just not wanting the war to be over. Israel bombing Lebanon in a huge way, massive attack on Lebanon. Iran not liking that, obviously. The vice president says that he believes, according to the report I just read, that he believes that Iran thought that Lebanon was a part of the ceasefire agreement, meaning the hostilities would stop there. That obviously was not the case, although you have the Pakistani prime minister's tweet saying yesterday, when he announced the ceasefire, that Lebanon was included. And it's to say it's a fluid situation is an understatement. It's been a wild 12 hours. Is the Strait of Hormuz open? Is it closed? We have different reporting on that as well. We're going to hear these clips from Karoline Leavitt, from JD Vance. We're going to read President Donald Trump's Truth Social posts and try to wrap our heads around it. I will tell you this. Just from my standpoint, last night as I was watching the reaction to this, people like Mark Levin were very upset with the ceasefire, which kind of made me think, oh, okay, well, this is actually good news. But I'll let you guys be the judge. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
Okay, as always, we want you to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We're broadcasting live here on LFA TV, as well as other platforms. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and subscribe to that channel. We would very much appreciate it. And I'm joined for the first time this week. We've got Mr. Eric Haynes is back with us. Eric, welcome, sir.
Great to be part of the program.
As always, it's great to have you. And I understand that you paid $3.58 for gas today.
Wasn't too happy about that. I mean, it's not that I haven't seen those gas prices before. In fact, during the majority of the Biden administration, I saw those gas prices on a daily basis. So it's not like I'm not used to it. I had just gotten used to gas prices coming way, way down this past year. So to then see them go up so drastically, it is very frustrating.
Well, price of oil in the $74 right now. Obviously, I mean, it dropped with the news of the ceasefire. I guess we got to put that in quotation marks. With the news of the ceasefire, I think like 20% it dropped immediately. And, it was high. It was $114, $15, $17. Now dropping down to $74 over the last 12 hours, and so that's certainly good. I paid $3.80 a gallon earlier this week, and as I drove into work today, they were still around that range, but I think probably you might see some relief tomorrow into the weekend with prices kind of coming back down, but who knows, because we don't know what the markets are going to do tomorrow as things settle in here.
I say this all the time. I hope that all the Billy Bob Thornton types from Landman are out there doing their job successfully, and that they're hopefully doing things in an effort to get our gas prices down to where they're more affordable, because it's not just what affects your and my pocketbook for when we swipe our card for the gas that goes in our tanks. It's all the downstream effects of everything that goes into goods and services being delivered, the trucks that are on the roads, everything else that's affected. It's a ripple effect that makes everything more expensive, not just how much more it costs me to drive to work and back, or to home and back, but it's all the other things that make it incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, and I think the global economy, certainly is at risk here. That's a big component of this. We talked about the financial moves that can be made during a war yesterday on the program. And even if the hostilities ceased right now, 100%, and everything was fine and the strait were open, you still have a while for the markets to recover. The markets may recover, but for the practical effects on the ground, it could take a while. It could take it. We've been bombing for a month. It could take a whole nother month or even more to try to get back on track to where things were. I know to where the America First people want to be is to actually see a recovery, trying to recover from all of the Biden inflation and everything else. And on that, you'll see in my lower third, brisket prices are too high. That's kind of one of my big pet peeves as a aspiring pit master. Brisket prices are too high, just like that New York City mayoral candidate from a long time ago, where he was like, "The rent is too high." I'm that way, but I'm more like I would be the leader of the populist revolution, and I would use brisket prices being too high as my key plank. My key platform would be getting beef prices lower. So.
Look, I don't have the silver bullet answer or know all the specifics of the market manipulation and why it's costing us so much, or it cost me so much today to fill up my tank, because I know that the boat that's on the Strait of Hormuz that's been held up there for a while, that's not bringing the oil that's coming over here to be turned into gasoline that's going to go into my truck. I know that that's not what is causing the gas prices for you and I to go up. It's all these other things that are affecting huge global markets. And the fact that, a barrel is $74, that's right in good normal range to where, like I said, all those Billy Bob Thornton types on Landman would say that's about where it needs to be. So frustratingly, and as unaccepting as it is, I've just got to bite the bullet and take the pain for a little while. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, no, I get it. And there's a lot of psychological there's a psychological component to these markets as well, right?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna there's also a lot of money to be made. Like, so if you yesterday before the ceasefire agreement got announced, if you knew about it beforehand, you could have shorted oil stocks. Now, I saw one report saying, now I don't know if it's true or not, because I didn't really dive too much into it because I was looking at other things, but I saw one report claiming that Nancy Pelosi made millions of dollars yesterday.
I'm sure she did.
Because she knew that there was some agreement that was going to be announced, and so you short the oil stocks and then the price plummets and you make out like a banshee.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that specific report to her was true. Obviously, there's a whole app that can, you can just chart and that'll invest the things that Nancy Pelosi invests in to make you money, because she does very, very well. She picks winners for some reason that we all know what it is. But but the point being, with this for the whole 28 days or 30 days or however long we've been bombing, people have made a lot of money based on insider information, based on the psychology of, the war's going to end, the war's not going to end. And you can, if you know where to place your bets, people are making out. There's a lot of insider trading, a lot of market manipulation, and that's just corruption. There's a lot of corruption going on with this war, on all sorts of different levels. Quite frankly,
do you think we're going to get to where we're just numb to corruption? I mean,
that's the goal.
Do you think we get to a point to where we see everything that's going on with Somali leering centers in Minnesota? We see $146 billion in Medi-Cal fraud in California, that we see Maine and all these other states that are now just domino effect of people going and researching and investigating things and finding that there's just massive fraud everywhere. It's now affecting our stock market and oil and gas prices. Like, at what point do we is it baked into the cake to where you and I just become numb to it?
Yeah.
Like, I really worry about that for myself, because then I'm not as good a dad, because I don't teach my kids to do better and to help them see things more objectively as they're growing up in a society where everyone's just numb to, well, I'm sure they're just defrauding the government. I'm sure they just threw in some Medicare numbers from some old guy that they got at, grabbed their Medicare numbers at Walmart, and now they're a hospice guy. All that, at what point do we just stop caring about it and trying to do anything about it? Because the people that are supposed to be doing something about it obviously aren't, because they're on the they're on the take too.
It's a really interesting point about the trickle-down effects of having a lawless, corrupt government and how it does. I think that I don't think there's any way to get around it eventually. Yeah, I mean, you know, in a Christian home, you would have more defense against it, but the more corrupt your government is, the more lawless it is, the more there's a two-tier justice system. How does that trickle down into everyday households and your families when they see this as well? They see the lawlessness, and so it does put inside people, or it can affect them in a way where, well, nothing matters, so I don't have to work as hard about this or that. And that's why it's very important to keep our minds, you know, heavenly oriented. But at the same time, when your government, when the magistrate is wicked, it does have an effect on the citizenry that a righteous government wouldn't have.
We're going to have a generation of kids that are going to see Nick Shirley videos and other investigative journalist videos that are going to call this stuff out, and that are going to show not only are all these people crooks, but the legislators and the people in government like Tim Walz and Keith Ellison and others obviously knew about it. And they're going to go before a Senate hearing or a House hearing committee where there should be some accountability. And instead, they're just going to sit there and say, oh, well, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, we're trying. We're trying. And the kids are going to be like, well, why aren't you being marched off in cuffs?
Yeah.
Man.
And it's a massive demoralization effort.
Totally.
When people are just going to...
rant
no,
over.
it's good. People are going to black pill, or people are going to give up, and that's not what needs to happen.
No.
Then the other side of the coin is, if it continues the way it's going, you're going to have some sort of revolution. You're either going to have complete, total communism, or you're going to have some sort of revolution if, and we've talked about this before, the system doesn't work. And honestly, what's going on in the Middle East is a direct result of that, because we highlighted on the show a few days ago, the H-1B scam. I know you were listening. That was on Monday.
Huge.
We've got more on that as well from Tyler Oliveira. And
that was incredible.
He's got even more, because they're doing the same scams that Somalis are doing and that are going on in California. And, you know, we're focusing all of this attention on the Middle East once again, which for people our age and younger has essentially been the geopolitical status quo. And people are sick of it. They are sick and tired of it. And that is why when, you know, you get this ceasefire, and according to JD Vance, Iran thinks Lebanon's included. Israel immediately came out and said, the ceasefire is fine, but Lebanon is not included, and then proceeded to bomb civilians. And I want you to keep in mind this. And so people, like, if you're looking at the polls here, the younger generation is seeing this, and they've had enough. But from a Christian standpoint, how many of you out there know that Lebanon is 20, 30% Christian? Around 2 million people in Lebanon are Christians. Most people don't know that. Most people just assume, oh, well, they're Muslim, and so we don't have to care about them. But there are Christians in Iran. There are Christians in Lebanon. And so as a Christian, I mean, I care about all life, but I'll be biased and say I specifically don't want Christian civilians, you know, to be killed. I don't want that. And so it was almost like, and it was a massive attack. It was the one thing that it was almost like, okay, we're going to test this ceasefire. You know, we're going to test it. We're not just going to continue bombing Lebanon. And I know Iran was also bombing Tel Aviv, right?
Within 2 hours.
Past the time. Now, the report I heard said it hadn't gone into effect yet. And, this happened, I don't know what it was. This happened the last time. It's happened with Russia and Ukraine, and I think it's happened, however, I can't even remember, but, you know, obviously this is Israel-Iran thing has gone on, where it's like you announce a ceasefire and it's going to start at this date, and so everybody just starts bombing everybody until the time gets there, right? You know,
this
get it all
Gettysburg,
out.
Though,
right?
Those guys knew before they sent the intercontinental ballistic missiles.
But I'm just saying, to your point, I'm really glad that you brought it up about the corruption and about what's going on in our country and about the lack of accountability. And you look at the people that voted for President Trump who are under 40, and you look at the polls there, and people are disgusted with what's going on. They are disgusted. That does not mean that they are pro-Muslim, they're pro, Iranian ayatollahs or anything else. It just means that while we're told that this is the most important thing right now, while our own country, we still have so much work to do. especially if we don't want to become full communists if and when the Democrats get back in power. There's a lot that hasn't been codified, but there's a lot of people that have not been prosecuted for their crimes. And I know you and I have talked about that a lot, and it's like, well, who knows? But to your point, I thought that's a very good point. How does this affect families? And when you're raising your kids in an environment where your dad, you're trying to tell them, hey, there's good, there's evil. You are accountable for what you do, and that's true. And we're all ultimately accountable before the throne of God. But it does get more difficult if you have a government that is so corrupt that there are two tiers of justice. And it's not even just for people like James Comey and Clapper. If you are an H-1B immigrant, you get special treatment. If you're a Somali, you get generational wealth in a business to try to fit some sort of woke Karen's worldview of what they want the world to be, that, hey, third worlders can come here and open businesses and be a success. Actually, there are maybe exceptions to that, but for the most part, no, they can't unless Tim Walz gives them special treatment, right? Yeah. And for doing nothing, for not even doing the business that they're supposed to be doing. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into it, okay? This is from, so this was this morning, the Daily Mail headline. I'm going to throw this up there. Trump declares Strait of Hormuz joint venture with Iran as Tehran's toll booth is set to rake in $1 million per ship. It's a beautiful thing, end quote. This was this morning. This was published at basically 9 o'clock Eastern time. And then, let's see, by 11:23 Eastern time, we had this. Iran halts ships in Strait of Hormuz and issues new demand as Trump's crumbling ceasefire faces furious Republican backlash. Now, the Republican backlash in there would be from people like Lindsey Graham. It would be from people like Mark Levin, who were, I watched Mark Levin last night, and they were upset. They were comparing the ceasefire to Peace in Our Time and Chamberlain, right? Because everything's got to be framed in a World War II context. That's what they were comparing it to. That this is a Chamberlain move. You had people like Laura Loomer on X who were upset that, and I don't know what the tweet said. I'm paraphrasing something like, Trump sold us out or something. And I even talked to a guy earlier today who's in the kind of the upper Gen X generation. First thing out of his mouth was, "Man, I'm disappointed with President Trump for the first time." And I'm like, "Well, man, I'm not at all." Like, I was like, I've been screaming off-ramp, find an off-ramp, because, and I'm not smarter. I'm certainly not a general. I certainly didn't have the courage to go in the military. But there are a few things that I look at with Iran, and there is no way to take over that country by just bombing them, unless you're going to nuke them, which was crossing the Rubicon. You're not going to take over the country by just bombing them. I mean, you can send them back to the Stone Age, sure. You can bomb power plants. You can bomb bridges. You can do all of that. Then it could descend into sectarian civil war, and then the Strait won't be secure because there's not going to be somebody in Iran that can tell them to secure it.
Yeah,
it's a very difficult thing. The only way you do it without a nuke is to send in 200,000 troops that are going to have a battle. I'm not saying they can't do it, but it's going to cost American lives. And so at least that's my opinion. And so that's why I've been like, find an off-ramp, because I don't want boots on the ground. I don't think a lot of Americans want boots on the ground. We don't want another situation where now we're committed to being there for the next 20 years in order to secure whatever it is we're over there to secure. And so that's why I've been like, find an off-ramp. And looks like the off-ramp that we thought we had is a lot easier said than done, because according to these reports, maybe it's still an off-ramp, but I don't know. The situation is very fluid right now.
Yeah. Here's a question for you.
Yeah, you go for it.
Did you honestly put an ounce, and this is not meant at all to give any credit to Mark Levin and that group that was frustrated at the ceasefire, but did you give an ounce of trust or credit to the Iranian administration that they would honor whatever agreement was put in place for any period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I did because, well, and then that goes into the other problem is the 10-point proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once I started seeing all the points,
there's apparently
I'm like,
there's apparently 3 of them. Okay, so that was a really weird phenomenon. You had the one that looked like Trump, gave away everything lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah.
And then and the administration is now saying no, that's not true, and Donald Trump was mad at CNN for running with that story.
Yeah.
Then you had the stories that Iran was claiming victory, or that sort of thing. And by the way, that is kind of unavoidable, I would say, regardless of what the 10 points are. And this is, I think, why Mark Levin is so upset. Is if you've done all of this, and at the end of the day, Iran still has some semblance of a regime in place, and they're still dictating whether or not the strait is open or closed, that is a win for Iran. And according to the New York Times, believe it or not, I mean, you can take it with a grain of salt. According to the New York Times, Rubio, Vance, and even the CIA director Ratcliffe advised against this because of this very idea that unless you go in there and you send thousands and thousands of troops it'll cost the lives of American soldiers to actually do it, you are always going to end up in this stalemate, and it very much is it appears to be a stalemate. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some next generation tech out there I don't know about that we're going to use. CIA apparently can find a pilot based on their heartbeat, which is crazy. That's a story that's out there. But they shot down one of our planes when we thought they couldn't do that anymore.
Total air superiority. Yeah,
okay?
That should not have happened.
Now, maybe it was just some guy with a
RPG
and got lucky. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But there are some reports. But I told this to Rob the other day. Average IQ of an Iraqi is like 70-something. The average IQ of an Iranian is like 104. They've also had 47 years to get these missiles from Russia, to develop their technology. They've had a long time to bury their best assets underground, and also the country is enormous.
Yeah,
it's a giant country, so they've got all these places, and so I think the advice that we are hearing that was given was probably sound. Like this is where it was always going to go. I don't know, and I'm just being real. I don't know if there is a way to get to a ceasefire where the people of Iran, or the government of Iran, the people may still hate it and be oppressed. I don't think there's a way that this happens without Iran saying, "Hey, we made it. We fought the law, and the law lost." Right? I don't think there's a way that that's going to happen without them saying. And maybe, I guess you could say, maybe if they give up their enriched uranium stockpiles, that would be a huge win for us.
Well, look, I'm not advocating for the complete destruction of the civilization of Iran. I mean, at one point yesterday morning, all of us were thinking, how serious could the next 12 hours really look as far as the globe and the map of the Middle East? How big could this be? But I just don't think Trump meant that he was ready to wipe out an entire civilization of people. So I knew it would look something different than just complete mushroom clouds everywhere, obviously. I mean, didn't you?
I was looking at the chat. You're talking about...
Those words are just so strong. And so
no.
Your mind starts to paint a picture of like, what the heck are we talking about here?
No.
Really?
When he said civilizational death, I was like, okay, well, immediately go to the tools that you need to do that. And that is obviously a nuclear bomb.
Right. So,
and we're in a much better situation now than we were 12 hours ago. I'll tell you that much.
Totally.
I think.
This is where, as we were chatting a little bit late last night, in my mind, I was thinking, this is Trump playing chess. And so this is what he does in all of these situations. And he knows so much. They know so much more than little old me does, sitting in my office recliner doing some administrative work late last night. Like, they know so much more to be able to say what they're saying. So I'm going to trust that he's playing chess here and that the right things are going to happen. I just don't take any faith or any stock in anything that the Iranian administration or whoever is in charge would say. So I just think the next couple of weeks are going to be fraught with the same stuff we're seeing now, which is bombs are still going to be going back and forth. And I hope these oil tankers can get through the strait just because it helps the global petroleum needs outside of the United States, which helps the global economy. But, I mean, who knows what could happen in the next 20 years. It's just such a fluid and weird situation.
No, you're exactly right. Here is Karoline Leavitt. This was her earlier today. Listen to this.
Media is saying that Iran has now closed off the Strait of Hormuz today in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon. What's the White House response to that? And you just listed many military successes. I understand that. But strategically, how is the administration arguing that Iran does not have more economic leverage than it did before the start of the war?
Sure. Well, with respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Karoline, the president yesterday.
Okay. That's interesting. And it reminds me of, do you remember when it seems like, so you had the 12-day war. Can you remind me, because I'm losing track. The 12-day war was not the Fordo American strike, was it? It was. Are those two separate events?
Operation.
Hammer
I was going to say I think of Midnight Hammer.
Yeah.
Epic Fury. I think of them in that way versus the number of days. What you're talking about.
Well, there was the 12-day. Anyway, they've had a number of they've had some skirmishes, right?
Yes.
Those skirmishes to me just seemed like.
Not our version of a skirmish.
It was kind of to me. If you go back, it was kind of like theater. Like what's going on now is less theater to me than like the 12-day war, when it kind of was like, hey, we're going to lob some of you here, and it's almost like I know they weren't communicating the targets, but it just seemed kind of more performative. You know what I mean?
Which makes it all theater, Paul, in my opinion.
Right.
It's all very much theater. And I respect Hegseth and General Kane and the way they present things when they're doing press briefings. Like, I respect the fact that they're calling out our heroes for who they are and the great job that they do, and the fact that they're not being harmed while they're doing it. Great. Take a pat on the back and a victory lap and a trophy for how awesome we are at taking out their ships, their Air Force. We're doing bunker buster bombs to take out their deep stuff. We're after their places where they have the drones, where they make the drones, where they make the parts to make the drones, to put in the places where the drones sit. Like, great. All of that's all theater. But Iran's doing the same thing on their side, and they have no internet over there. They have no communication really coming in, and they're telling their people, like, we're winning. So it's think about the theater that it is. It's like kabuki. It's nuts.
What I meant was it seemed like in these earlier skirmishes that people were telegraphing, Iran's got to do this to seem strong, but it was more like, hey, we're gonna throw some bombs over here, kind of letting people know. And then it kind of felt like the same thing. Now, what went on in Lebanon over the last 12 hours was not theater. I mean, we've got the video for that, and I want to make that clear. But it'll be interesting. I mean, if what she says is true, and that what Iran is saying publicly is not what they're saying privately, that kind of is what I'm saying. It feels like we're maybe that's a de-escalating back to the way things were before everything got so intense over the last 30 days. And I could be wrong, and I could be way too much of an optimist here. But it's just an observation.
The people that are responsible for flying the sorties, the tens of thousands of sortie missions that are going on, the people that have hands on the buttons, that control the things, that do all the things over there, that's the right things that need to be going on. The theater becomes when jack wagons in front of Karoline Leavitt have to ask a bunch of leading and antagonistic questions about everything that they think is going on, and then reporting things that aren't really going on, but have unnamed sources that think things are going on, just to try to get a reaction and frustration out of the administration. That's the crap that it's like, let these people do their job and then go on. And I guess if Hegseth and General Kane want to come before a microphone and brag a little bit about the great job that we're doing, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But it's all this stuff that gets caught in the middle with left leaning and the Levins of the world and all that stuff that just makes it just salad talk. It's like it reminds me of Kamala or something like that. There's no meaning in it now. You're all just firing off a bunch of random stuff that now Karoline Leavitt's having to dodge this question and kick off this question and go after CNN for this wrong reporting of this one thing that it's just like, man, let this thing play out.
I will say I have Middle East fatigue. I know that much.
That's a great way of summarizing everything I just said.
Yeah.
It's just to the point to where
I think the country has Middle East fatigue.
Yeah. Because and the other thing is because we are finding out that during all of this, we're also finding out about so many problems that we have here on our own soil that we need to take care of.
Exactly.
And that are not being taken care of while the focus is on across the world.
Yeah.
In the Middle East, keeps us from focusing all of our attention on the fraud, the abuse, the waste, all the stuff that Doge should have been able to continue on doing.
When's the last time you've heard about the SAVE Act and getting rid of our voter fraud problem in this country?
When's the last time you heard about the Epstein files updates?
A while. Well, we're not supposed to talk about that anymore. Moving on.
Guess what? We're not moving on. Folks aren't.
There's no.
moving
It's
on
like
for
I
it.
know. Especially,
But I've told you guys,
especially 40-year-olds
Yes.
and younger. This is still a huge deal.
huge.
All right, so Iran plans to require shipping companies to pay transit tolls in Bitcoin for vessels passing the Strait of Hormuz. So this was earlier. I don't even know. This was from Zero Hedge. It probably doesn't even matter anymore. This was President Trump at 11:04 a.m. Numerous agreements, lists, and letters are being sent out by people that have absolutely nothing to do with the USA-Iran negotiation in many cases. So I think this may be more context of what Karoline Leavitt we were just listening to. He says they're total fraudsters, charlatans, and worse. They will be rapidly exposed after our federal investigation is completed. There is only one group of meaningful points that are acceptable to the United States, and we will be discussing them behind closed doors during these negotiations. These are the points that are the basis on which we agreed to a ceasefire. It is something that is reasonable and can easily be dispensed with. It's very much like fake news CNN last night, headlining a source that had no power or authority to write a letter claiming great authority, President Donald J. Trump. We also have this. This was April 8th. This was this morning. So it's 6 a.m. this morning. The United States will work closely with Iran, which we have determined has gone through what will be a very productive regime change. There will be no enrichment of uranium, and the United States will, working with Iran, dig up and remove all of the deeply buried B-2 bombers' nuclear dust. It is now and has been under very exacting satellite surveillance. Nothing has been touched from date of attack. We are and will be talking tariff and sanctions relief with Iran. Many of the 15 points have already been agreed to. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Okay, that was this morning, 6 a.m. Before again the headlines that the Strait was now closed because of the Lebanon attacks. Let me refresh Trump's truth here while we're live and see if we've got anything else. Still nothing. Nothing new yet. And these were the attacks. This is just some of the attacks, the destruction. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but those are what appear to be, civilian high-rises in Lebanon. Sorry about that, folks. Just devastation. I think, according to the Associated Press, more than 100 were killed as Israel strikes central Beirut after saying Iran truce doesn't apply there. Then we had this from the BBC. Israel carries out large wave of airstrikes across Lebanon. Al Jazeera, take it with a grain of salt. Iran, 254. Israel kills 254 in Lebanon after U.S.-Iran agree to ceasefire. Now, what's interesting is the Vice President of the United States is leaving Hungary, and while he was on the tarmac there, he was asked about this, and this is what he said.
Let me say a couple things. First of all, I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. That said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
Okay. So the vice president saying there that he thinks there was a misunderstanding. Now, what's interesting about that is if you go back and you look at the post by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Now, remember, the Prime Minister of Pakistan was instrumental, according to reports, right, in negotiating this so-called ceasefire. Well, in his post, this is what he said. This was yesterday, April the 7th. With the greatest humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed to an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective immediately. So, I mean, I can understand why the Iranians may have thought that Lebanon was in the ceasefire agreement if the Prime Minister of Pakistan says that Lebanon is included in the ceasefire agreement. Now, Israel, basically immediate. I mean, those were the first reports that I saw yesterday was ceasefire's good, but we're not going to include Lebanon. So I honestly don't know, folks. I honestly don't know. Here's a translated message from Benjamin Netanyahu.
And Israel is stronger than ever. This is the bottom line of this campaign up until now. Let me say, there are still additional objectives for us to achieve, and we will achieve them, either by agreement or by resumption of the fighting. We are ready to resume the fighting at any moment. Our finger is on the trigger. As you know, 2-week ceasefire has been announced between the U.S. and Iran. No, we were not surprised in the last moment, and I want to emphasize, this is not the end of the war. This is a step in order to achieve all the objectives.
Okay. So I don't people in the chat appreciate you guys on LFA TV.
This is the curveball here, man.
You guys have said, hey, what if you armed? I saw some people saying, what if somehow you arm the Iranian people, and let them try to take over the country? I mean, I guess that's an option, but I mean,
no,
I don't really see that getting you the Strait of Hormuz open. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't really think that's going to happen, even with the United States continuing to bomb. Again,
thousands.
I guess this is the real question.
Have already been killed,
and this is the real question. What are the goals? I mean, the goals of this have been regime change, and then we've heard no, they're not regime change, regime change. Meaning an official end of the theocracy. I know we've killed several of their. I know we've killed the Ayatollah, and then we've killed prospective Ayatollahs. I mean, I get that, but you're not that's the question. Can you do this with bombings or even arming the citizens? I got to feel like if we could have done this with arming the citizens, we would have done that already. I mean, maybe.
To me, the curveball here is Israel. They are not
going to stop.
No.
The only way.
And as Bibi just said, a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran.
Yeah.
He didn't say.
Exactly.
He didn't say we're at the table too,
Right.
and we're part of this. Like, no. In fact, he took the ball a step forward and said, we're ready to keep fighting, our fingers on the trigger. Like,
so
and within 2 hours, when you saw that ballistic missile coming over with cluster bombs coming over to Tel Aviv, I immediately saw that, and it was just like, well, look. This is not going to stop. This is not a ceasefire.
Right.
We can take a victory lap as if we tried to negotiate something great. And yes, we appreciate you trying, President Trump, but Israel is not playing. And not that I support that, because we're in the middle of this, and it's frustrating, and you and I are ready for off-ramps just the same way as a lot of people are to get out now that we've accomplished so much. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't either.
Right.
I mean,
I don't have any faith in the
look,
Iranians,
this is
and
what
I don't have
everyone's
any
saying.
faith in
Yeah, exactly.
Israel's tolerance to stop.
Yeah, the only way to get Israel to stop is to say, we're not going to give you the weapons to continue doing this. I mean, that's like, if it just is what it is. I mean, if this is what's going to happen,
Yeah.
I mean, you have three independent parties. One of those parties is only as independent as the United States allows them to be.
I don't feel like my life is in jeopardy, Paul, by what's going on over there. But Israelis do. That's the difference. They're the ones that have the bomb sirens going off all day, every day, all night, every night, and are running to bomb shelters. And again, I'm not saying that this is what I want or what is good or anything like that, but I'm not going to sit back over here and try to act like I'm an Israeli living in Tel Aviv right now, and that they should feel the way I do about this war, because they don't, and they don't want to stop. And I don't know what it's going to take for them to stop. I didn't hear anything from Benjamin Netanyahu there that said, look, if Iran would just stop this, we'll be good. I don't think they want that. And so that's when you get people like Levin and others that are...
Well, Levin was bringing up Chamberlain. He was literally saying, look, this is going to enable...
And Sean Hannity may call him the great one, but I don't think he's great.
But
in
it's
how
also
he's
President Trump,
seriously,
do we have the clip here? President Trump, we get this ceasefire, and then immediately Levin is on there talking about... Hang on one second. Let me see if we can find it. Is this the one where he says Chamberlain? This may not be the one where he says Chamberlain.
We're not doing regime change. Everybody says no regime change. Okay. Then the regime survives in one form or another. The fundamentals survive. And so the question is, how do we keep this enemy, this poison, this cancer, these Islamist radicals, 7th century barbarians, how do we keep them in a box? And that's what we have to figure out. If we're not going to completely take them out because of the huge isolationist strain in the Democrat Party, among the woke right, but again, MAGA, the Republicans are behind the president. But if we can't do it because of the political wins, if we can't do it because of other reasons, then how are we going to keep them in a box? It can't be just peace in our time. We have a 10-point deal and they've agreed to this. I just think it's going to be very, very complicated, very, very difficult. And I would say this to the president of the United States.
So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Peace in our time. Like this is like the ceasefire is going to enable the next Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm sick of it. I know.
In order to objectively think about the situation, though, you have to put yourself in their shoes. And I'm not saying that will cause you to agree with them, but you have to at least put yourself in the perspective of somebody that living in Tel Aviv, with children underneath their arms all the time running to bomb shelters because Iran is hurling missiles at them all the time. So I'm a father living in a flyover state in the U.S. I have no fear at all for me or my wife or my children's safety in doing what those people are doing all day, every night. So I have to be respectful of that. Not that it makes me stomach it anymore or appreciate it anymore or think about. I just have to understand that they have a very different lens that they see this thing through than I do.
But if you were
and
this,
that's fine.
If you were the, yeah, but I mean, if you were in this situation, would you not be wanting it to stop and wanting Benjamin Netanyahu to come to some sort of, I mean, because Israel has gotten hammered in this too. I mean, Iran has been hammered, but Israel has been hammered as well. And we forget that there's political opposition in Israel. Nobody really ever talks about it, but there are other parties that want the fighting to stop too because they're being bombed as well, and they're sick of the bomb shelter life and everything else.
There's probably actually a carnal side of me, though, that says that if I was over there dealing with that all the time, that I might just want what President said about the end of a civilization
yeah. I mean,
to be the thing that
people,
actually happened.
Yeah,
and
many
whether that
people
makes
would.
me some, murderous Zionist or something like that, fine. But I'm just saying that's probably what a lot of them are thinking. It's obviously what people like Mark Levin and others in that administration that are not stopping are thinking. So
yeah, I just hope and pray. I'm just still hoping and praying for an off ramp. I don't want U.S. soldiers over there, and it seems like though we're getting closer to this idea of, okay, well, we have this civilization problem. I mean, this is what President Trump said. You just mentioned it. Mark Levin is saying that. So what are the tools? What are the tools that you need to accomplish something like that? Well, a Rubicon.
Here comes Lindsey Graham.
No, yeah, it's like no. I mean, I'm sorry. That would be a total disaster.
Yeah,
on so many different levels that we can't even begin to comprehend the domino effect of something like that.
I think Trump agrees with you, though. I don't think he wants that either. Just like I don't want that. You don't want that. Rob doesn't want that. Most of the people here don't want that. We're not the Lindsey Graham warmongers. And we elected Trump to bring peace. And he's proven time and time again that he can be a conduit for peace. And I know we're seeing this play out and we're all getting tired of it because it's now gone on for weeks and weeks. But, I just got to have a little bit of faith. And not just faith in the Trump administration. I have faith in God and that he's in control, getting back to a point I made last week. It's like, I do believe that God's hand is in this, and I'm not saying he's just this puppet master.
No, in everything.
That is, he's not just this puppet master that's controlling Bibi and Trump and everybody else, but that he is instrumental in helping this situation play out. And I didn't see the end of a civilization being what I would think God would want in this. So when I saw that message,
there's millions of
Christians. When I saw that message, I thought we don't want Christians, and
you don't hear. I will say that you do not hear about that on Fox News, though. You don't hear that Lebanon is 30% Christian. You don't hear what's going on. You don't really hear about that. This is about money, and this is about geopolitical narratives. It's certainly not about Christians in harm's way in Iran or Christians in harm's way in Lebanon.
Yeah,
just like people didn't know that there were 1,000-year-old churches in Gaza and there were Christians in Gaza. You didn't hear about that either. And so it brings on a totally different context when you start thinking in those terms. And a lot of Christians, when we're involved in the Middle East, as this is true over the last however long, 40 years or longer, a lot of Christians get killed, and nobody really talks about it. Nobody reports it to the Christian country, America, back home. Nobody really tells us what's going on. Anyway, here is Karoline Leavitt with JD Vance. I'm sorry, not with JD Vance. So, speaking of peace, let's try not to black pill. Here's Karoline Leavitt talking about JD Vance. He's coming back from Hungary, but apparently he's going to Pakistan.
In talks with Iran in Islamabad on Friday.
I can announce that the president is dispatching his negotiating team, led by the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance, Special Envoy Witkoff, and Mr. Kushner to Islamabad for talks this weekend. The first round of those talks will take place on Saturday morning local time, and we look forward to those in-person meetings.
Now, what role does the president see for the U.S. in monitoring or helping with the Strait of Hormuz going forward?
I think the president commented on that this morning.
Okay, so JD Vance, by the way, JD Vance was getting a lot of credit last night, at least online, for the ceasefire that we had for 12 hours.
This is a good chess move, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, let's pray that something happens and you have lasting peace and a lasting off-ramp. The economic aspect of this has got to...
Look who Joe Biden would have sent over.
Yeah, that's right.
Look who Kamala Harris would have sent over.
Oh, my gosh. I've become good friends with school shooters.
Just go ahead and play that scenario out.
Yeah.
Tampon Tim going over there. Good grief.
But the economic impact of this on the global economy, with the strait being closed and the way this is, it's got to be resolved. If you want the American recovery to continue, this has got to be resolved. If you want a chance at the midterms being a success, this has got to be resolved. And I think that's one of the reasons why President Trump made the ceasefire that he did. Currently, again, the price of oil is at $74.95. Let's see. I'm going to go to click on the 5-day. So we were up to, we were up over 100. I'm not really sure. I don't understand how to work this particular graph, but I mean, it was high the other day. 114, right? I mean, there's a reason we're paying $3.80 a gallon.
Yeah.
Right now.
You're looking at this on a
Arkansas.
today basis.
Yeah. So this is today.
Max this out over a 5-day period or a month and you'll see.
Well, I clicked on it and,
there you go. Oh, sorry.
It's not it's still not showing. That was Thursday, April the 2nd. I don't know. It's not.
There was definitely a time period there where
it's not even.
It spiked way up.
It's not showing. So this may be just a Google malfunction of some kind. But anyway, let us know. Let us know what you think in the comments. We're going to reset here. We're going to take a quick commercial break and don't go anywhere, folks. This is the Paul Harrell program. We're really happy that you're with us, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy. A life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, one cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or Red 5 works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain. that we can leverage this type of medicine.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. We are broadcasting. No, that didn't come across. That did not come across, Eric. Your mic was muted, brother, so you're all good there. You don't have to worry about it. Thanks so much. We're with you for the next hour and 3 minutes or something like that. So we appreciate you being with us. It is a privilege to talk to you and share our opinions, even if they are controversial on geopolitics and not wanting wanting to find an off ramp for the sake of peace. But I get it. But we're going to talk about what's going on here in America. We've got Middle East for take. Oh,
well, let's just remind the audience of what you just said right there, because it's so important that when you look at this situation, you don't have to have an all or nothing binary opinion about everything.
Correct.
You can absolutely be for getting rid of their uranium enrichment and doing something about that. But then also, that doesn't mean you have to be for a nuclear bomb being dropped on Iran and vaporizing an entire civilization of people either. Like, the pendulum doesn't have to swing so dadgum far to one side or the other. Like, go ahead and feel free to have a balance.
Dude.
And you'll be a lot happier in life.
I agree.
If you don't feel like you have to be all in or all out,
dude,
brother.
And we were so, last night,
dude,
I was so relieved at the ceasefire, and now I know it may be crumbling or whatever, but I was so relieved. I was like, oh my goodness, now I can think about the Masters. By the way, that's what this weekend is. It's the Masters on CBS. Dun 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 dun. This is what I'm serious. I love the Masters. By the way, yeah, love the Masters. Think it's it's like my favorite sporting event of the year. I absolutely love it. Especially sometimes I go out and I set the TV up in the garage, watch the I got the smoker going out the side door. There you go. And this is why my quote of the day is brisket prices are too high, right? But it's like, I don't know. It's like the Masters is like Caucasian Dad Week.
Yeah.
It's like fantastic. So I see the ceasefire, and I'm just like, oh man, okay, we can move on and for a little while. We've at least got 2 weeks, right? 2 week ceasefire. They're gonna figure something out. So we're gonna talk about the H-1B crisis. And how
blessed am I that part of my Saturday is going to be tied up with 7-year-old girls' soccer game and an 11 and 12-year-old boys' AAU basketball. Sorry, but I'm blessed.
Amen.
We are absolutely blessed.
We are.
And we need to take a little bit of stock in that and enjoy those blessings and thank God for those blessings and continue to pray for his influence in the Middle East.
Amen, brother. But we're going to talk about what's going on in Frisco, Texas. We covered this on Monday. The H-1B crisis in Frisco, Texas has been overrun with Indian H-1Bs. And we're going to continue our coverage of this because Tyler Olivier, how do you say his name? Do you know how to say his name? I can never say it right. Olivier. Hang on one second.
Hey, thankfully, I'm seeing and hearing it a bunch now, which means a lot of people are waking up.
It's gone viral big time.
Waking up to this nonsense.
Oliviera.
Yes.
Oliviera is how you say it. So, sorry I'm having so much trouble. But before we get there, there's been some people going in, finding these city council meetings at Frisco, Texas, with people complaining about what's going on. Here is a student who goes before the Frisco, Texas City Council and slams the city for what they have allowed to happen in their town. Listen to this, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Harrison Howell. I help with Collin County Turning Point USA chapters. I just like to voice my concern and, frankly, disgust with the H-1B increase in my fine county. This isn't a racism conversation. It's a statistical and risk prevention conversation. So many natural-born Americans have lost their job to someone who won't do good work but will work for next to nothing just to come here legally. I'm in IT. Am I going to lose my job because I'm too expensive for high, good quality work? That's just gross. It's almost disgusting to walk into my classroom and see a substitute teacher who can't speak English wearing a hijab. I had to Google Translate English to Hindu to go to the bathroom because my teacher couldn't understand me. According to the U.S. State Department, Iran spends $20 billion a year making sure their proxy terrorists are ready to go into full explosive effect at any time, any place, the Middle East and the U.S. This news is almost everywhere, especially with the ongoing conflict we have in Iran right now, with these increasing gas prices. ISIS put out a special message for Easter to all their proxies, saying to go kill and disrupt churchgoers or the resurrection weekend. Ew. Many students like myself and other Collin County residents see this and begin feeling very uncomfortable. I don't want potentially aggressive people in my classroom, my church, or my workplace. The Quran literally says to kill non-Muslim Islam believers. My question is, why risk it? Why risk your life on an ideology instead of caring about qualifications, not salaries? On every form of U.S. currency, it says, in God we trust, not Muhammad, not Allah, not cattle. Our country was built on Christianity and English. It's interesting that
the cattle is that's the slam at the Indian. Apparently, they're going to cattle ranches and they're getting the urine because apparently they think it has healing properties. They're asking for cow urine. I'm dead serious.
Can you imagine that conversation walking up to that rancher, be like, oh, I'm not gonna do it but like
you don't I don't do it.
Do you imagine that? Can you go collect the urine from that bull that's peeing on the ground out there?
The holy bovine urine.
That some people aren't able to see that. And in 10 years, when all Frisco council members have to have a translator to even understand English, you'll finally see what I'm talking about. But then it'll be too little too late. I'm not planning on sharing this on any social media. I'm speaking here.
You know, what's funny is if the Democrats were in control right now of the DOJ, which they kind of are, if you believe the reports about Todd Blanche, which I do, but I mean, if there was a Democrat administration in control right now, this guy would be, from this speech right here, he would be on a watch list right now.
Yeah,
because it's what I believe. What can Frisco do? I'd suggest look at substitute teachers, perhaps a city ordinance to solidify that teachers and substitutes in FISD can at least be able to communicate with the majority of their students and perhaps be kinder to us and be the leader they should be. What is it, the 7th today? Last week, I had a substitute teacher, different substitutes in every classes. This happened 3 times. They didn't understand English. I had to show them my school ID because they couldn't understand what I was saying for attendance. I was actually marked tardy and had to go to the office because one of them forgot to submit the form that you're supposed to submit because the email was in English and she didn't speak a lick of it. I wouldn't go to France or India and try to teach their children or have them speak my language.
Good grief, that's a
Why is it
great point.
here? I've never seen anyone be discriminated against for being Indian. In fact, in my classroom, I've heard nonstop the phrase, "You can't say that because you're a white man." Especially in Allen, we have a security law program, and I heard that many a time. I'm saying we all have experienced discrimination. As somewhere on my shirt says, every U.S. citizen is equal and deserves an equal chance for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. However, I should not be expected to speak or believe any other language or religion than what the U.S. settlers' foundation was. I've lived in this country my entire life. If I have to use Google Translate to pee, that's when it gets to an issue. Thank you.
If I have to use Google Translate to pee, you've lost your country. You've lost a war. You've been conquered. This is what's going on in Frisco, Texas.
Yeah, that's the point I was about to say. Like, this isn't Providence, Rhode Island. This isn't Seattle. This is Frisco, Texas, man. Like, what in the world?
Here's another lady on this same topic of Frisco, Texas. She's actually an Indian. She's an Indian resident. She's from our country. I'm sorry, she's from a foreign country coming to our country, asserting that we're all on stolen land, literally adopting the leftist tactic. That other guy, though, had a really good point. I don't want to gloss over it. The best point he made was, I wouldn't go to another country where I didn't speak their language and expect to teach their kids, to be a part of the education system, to instruct their kids.
Right.
It is insane.
Great
we
point.
would never do that. Do you know why we wouldn't do that? Why? I mean, could we list the reasons why we would not do that?
Yeah, you got a legal pad?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is just like it's incredibly presumptive and rude.
Right.
Like it would be a very selfish thing. It'd be a very arrogant thing. It would be, it would just be absurd, right? I mean, to think that I could go to India and I could be a school teacher when I didn't speak the language. Now, the first thing that comes up to me is like, man, that would just be rude. You know why? Because I live in America, which is a part of Western civilization, and I live in the South. I've born and raised in the South, so that makes me doubly polite. That makes me even more polite. And it just is what it is. It's our culture, right? We might talk about you behind your back with a bless your heart, as we mentioned before, to somehow absolve us of our gossip, which doesn't make it, that arguably can make it worse.
Not at all. Absolutely.
But you get my point, right? This rudeness, this idea of rudeness or being polite or being considerate, you know what that's rooted in? It's rooted in the second commandment, the second of the two greatest commandments, which is love your neighbor and yourself. We wouldn't want that to happen to us, so we wouldn't do it. That's a Western concept. That's the golden rule. That's from Christianity. That is from the Bible. They don't have any of that.
Well, this kid's literally saying, I'm trying to make a point and I'm being yelled at by people that tells me to sit down because I'm just a white boy. Like, as if that has anything to do with anything when you're trying to communicate with a substitute or adjunct professor who cannot speak English and cannot even mark you present for you being in attendance. Like, that has nothing to do with it. And you can't ask to even go to the restroom because they can't understand what you're saying. Like, we have turned the other cheek in for so long and taken it on the chin for so long that people don't know how to stand up and say, no, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen here.
Exactly.
And we don't want confrontation. I get that. We have to be very protective of ourselves and others around us. We don't want to cause all these big
to a point
Karen fights.
Right. We don't want confrontation.
We're always, it's just like, we just want to avoid Karens, so we turn and look the other way and skirt down the other aisle or go this way and avoid, when really, we really need to stand up and say,
absolutely,
I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen here, ma'am. Or, sir, you're going to have to take that somewhere else.
Oh, so many people, and it even is in leftist discourse, too, people that are Americans and are from here. It is amazing what happens when they find out you're a conservative. I mean, it's a lot safer than it used to be. But I remember when we came out with my card game here that I wrote, Left Wing Will and the Red Pill. I remember my wife made a post about it. Hey, we got this game or whatever, and she found out that she was friends with a bunch of people that have no problem. They don't think a thing about espousing leftist views on their social media.
Right.
And the conservatives, and you probably know this because I know you probably have left-leaning friends. When you see them post something on social media, do you rush to the comments and tell them how stupid and wrong they are? I mean, you might try to persuade them, but you're not. Versus, somebody on the right comes out and says, "Hey, we made a card game making fun of the left," and I get it. They were triggered by it, but all of a sudden now it's like, oh wow,
I do a lot less of that now, but I mean, at one point I was kind of known as being the person that could step in and try to at least have an objective conversation without being a keyboard ninja. Mm-hmm. That whole term that came out, rightfully so, because you just found so many random people commenting in and blasting each other. It's like, hey, can we have a conversation about this? And I think there is power in persuasion. And I would always try to at least meet somebody in the middle somewhere.
Right.
But that's not the way social media works, and there's just less and less of an ability to do that anymore. So people like me just avoid it, and I just keep scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that term now all the time. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Don't pay any attention to her. She's crazy. She's 5 gallons in a 3-gallon bucket. Like, just or him or whoever, and
well, I mean,
conflict avoidance eventually gets you to where then it's like, okay, now I just have a perpetual target on my back because I'm, the evil white guy.
Well, I did learn, I do, and so many times I've tried to comment on something and then I delete it all because I think to myself, is this really fruitful? I mean, sometimes it is, but very rarely in social media do people get convinced that their arguments, their positions are wrong and they reconsider. It just happens so rarely these days. But when you have a face-to-face with somebody, all of a sudden people are a lot softer, and because they realize they're talking to somebody that is a human being, and it's a lot easier to do when you're face-to-face with somebody that you have these disagreements with online. And in that sense, technology has really robbed us of a lot. And it's not new in terms of with newspapers and letters to the editor. I mean, it's always been. You always can say more forceful things, I guess, when you're writing it down, because you have that time to craft it and everything else. But with the social media and the instant gratification and instant communication, it's kind of brought out the worst in a lot of us.
Totally.
But it is where we are. It is where it is what it is.
Yeah.
We have to adapt. We have to
that
move
train
forward.
has left the station.
We have to fight. We still have to fight as happy warriors the best we can. Here is, again, Frisco, Texas. Here's a lady who wanted to go before the council and say this.
Hi, my name is Ankita. I'm here to address the hateful and racist folks who feel confident and protected enough to come up here on the mic consistently across multiple meetings in Frisco, Plano, and Irving.
Who feel free enough and confident enough. That right there is
We should all feel free enough.
We should all feel free, but they believe that speech is violence if they're leftists. And again, it is the American middle class that believes in freedom of speech. Third worlders do not believe in freedom of speech. They do not believe in the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
The very wealthy don't care. The very poor, they don't really care. It is the middle class that actually believes that we have freedom of speech and privacy in this country.
To disparage immigrants and repeatedly put targets on the back of the Frisco community members. People are watching these meetings from all over the world, and these racist remarks are going viral on social media. People are also observing the absence of an intervention. People come up here and disparage Indian immigrants with no consequences. I saw last meeting, someone who came up here was called out for a brief...
By the way, I'm just going to insert this while she's talking. This is why the domestic agenda has got to trump this Middle East nonsense agenda. Because when the people she wants to vote for, and assuming she does, or she probably doesn't vote, but who knows, the people she wants in office are going to criminalize criticizing the demographic great replacement that is going on.
Yeah.
Period. Like
she's not a victim. She wants to make victims.
And so we pursue all of these other shiny objects, and we get distracted, and the MAGA agenda gets totally derailed by the Republican donor class at our own peril, at the middle class's peril, because the people that they want to be put back in power are coming after all of us that are, right now I know the right is infighting like crazy. I mean, one of the reasons, depending on which side you're on, I mean, the infighting is trying to prevent people like this from having authority over us. Just trying to keep it real, and we got to understand what the stakes are. And while people may be wrong or right or this on these different issues, I think the motivations are we want our country back, and we want our country and the middle class to expand, not retract, and we want these freedoms to be protected. And the government exists to protect those instead of take them away. The Biden administration was going after, moms speaking out against transgender issues at school board meetings. The FBI was targeting those people. So we either fix that and make people pay the consequences for it and do it permanently, or, again, we're faced with full-blown communism here in America, and it's going to make what's going on in Europe seem like Mickey Mouse.
Briefly flashing a light because there was a disturbance. And I know that these racist remarks don't physically harm, anyone up here, but it does harm people, outside of this courtroom. It puts a target on people's backs. And so I want to answer this question: why do immigrants come to this country? Well, immigrants come to the U.S. in search of better lives, but instead of welcoming them, the government crushes their hopes and dreams with oppression. Their labor is exploited. And instead of having their backs, the racist folks here blame them for their problems instead of the real criminals that are running the system. And so anyone concerned about present-day Americans and how the government is spending should be concerned about how the government is spending so much money on immigration enforcement and war, and it doesn't even provide adequate health care or housing for Americans locally, including veterans. But here they are worrying and complaining about fake statistics. We live on stolen land, and that land was stolen from indigenous people. That is the legacy of this country. And the same people blaming immigrants for their discomfort are also immigrants and descendants of immigrants who came here from Europe. There is no place for violence and racism in Frisco. And the violent mobs outside of Frisco temples and mosques need to be charged and prosecuted. Anyone silent about the racism inside and outside of this courtroom is complicit in this violence. And so I'm calling on people to come together and expose the racism and violence towards immigrants. People should feel safe going to school, praying in temples, praying in mosques, and going to work without fearing discrimination. I'm calling on city council members to make it known that racism isn't tolerated in this room or outside of this room. Thank you for your time.
Shocker. You have allegations of racism after the H-1B program has been exploited to bring a concentration of basically one race, Indian people, in towns like Frisco, Texas. And now people who are noticing they're the problems. They're the racist people who are saying we don't need to do this. Carlos Tercios says, an Indian resident says the U.S. is on stolen land and defends the influx of Hindu Indians through the H-1B visa program. She also argues that America is an economic zone. Why is Republican County allowing this demographic collapse? Because the donor class wants it. Because people like this in the middle class don't care about freedom of speech. They don't care about privacy. We're on stolen land. I wonder if India would feel like, I'm sure China could just say, hey, the borders haven't always been this way, India. Some of your land, you're on stolen land. You're on stolen Chinese land.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sure she'd have a different opinion about that, right?
Go ahead and denounce Genghis Khan and go ahead and denounce the Mughals and all those that warred and conquered and did that all. Good grief.
It's insane, man. So, more on this Tyler Oliveira piece. Again, we spent the first hour talking about the ceasefire, or to ceasefire, to no ceasefire, open Hormuz, close Hormuz. This hour, we're focusing on the domestic problems here in this country. We're going to pick back up with the scams. On Monday, we told you about the H-1B visa program that Tyler Oliveira was exposing. Specifically, the people that are here that are like, India first or America first, and they're like, oh, India all the way, they're over here, and yet they're still loyal. They're not here to assimilate at all. We know that. They've got 90-foot tall monkey statues in Texas. Here's more on this. Now we get to the scam portion of it. The same type of scams that you saw in Minnesota with the Somali fraud, and in California, Tyler Oliveira exposing those scams in Frisco, Texas with HB1 Indians.
Is a single company, Qubits Tech Systems LLC, with 8 LCAs, all from this residential home. Bunch of software developers here making $51 an hour.
Yeah, this seems legit.
It's a software company.
Hi there, worksite inspection.
Hey, who is this?
Hi there, this is Tyler. I'm here to conduct a worksite inspection. Am I speaking to Hari Madiraju?
It's not.
Huh? Sorry, you cut off there.
So I am not at home. So what is this? I am in the office. Who is this speaking?
Is there another work site that you're working from?
Yeah, 4425 West Airport.
West Airport? Okay, so there's no one working from the residential address here?
Why do they work for where is your home?
Excuse me?
Where is your home? Do you live in your home or do you live in your toilet or somewhere?
No, I don't live in my toilet, sir. So I'm only asking because the LCA state that this is the address. Is that not the case?
No.
So you don't...
Go to my workspace. Are you from government?
No, I'm not from the government. I'm conducting an independent investigation.
If you are not for government...
Yes?
Work right now, I don't have any people, but you can go to the workplace and work there.
All right. We'll take a look at your office. Thank you. Some attitude. Yeah. But why would this guy file 8 LCAs with the work site listed as his residential home? So we went to his office only to find a collaborative work site and his completely empty unit. No one in their office. Hari Madiraju finessed us. Let's give him a phone call.
Please leave your message for 214.
You son of a bitch. And strangely enough, many of these ghost offices were often clustered in the same locations, starting with V4 Tech. V4 Tech, very official. Okay, take a look inside. We see some sort of Eastern monk-like statue right there. We have an empty little meeting room in the back here. It's almost like no one's here. Who would pay thousands of dollars a month to rent an office with no signs of human life, locked during work hours in the middle of the work week with no employees in sight? I have a question for you. Do you know where they're
That's
at? Your neighbors?
No idea.
No idea? Okay, thanks so much.
It costs money to rent this place. And it's during business hours, during
It's a
the week.
nice building, ghost office, a shell. They have paper compliance. They have the physical location they can register their H-1Bs to, and then they can send them off to go work elsewhere.
Yeah.
So V4 Tech Inc., completely empty. They should be here. Someone should be here. 420. This is going to be a good one. And there were more ghost offices all over this complex. We got no sign on this one. Hello? Hello? They ever show up here? Yeah.
What are we selling?
I just want to ask you, do you guys actually have neighbors? Does anyone ever show up?
That's a great question.
It's a good question, right?
That's a great question. Why are you asking this question?
Because we're convinced that this is a body shop. They have paper compliance, and no one actually works out of here. There's
Got
like
it.
9 separate units in this business complex. No one's here. These
Are you
ghost
ready?
offices. I'm ready. Yeah.
Is that on?
It's on. We're ready.
Good. He is thinking correctly. You are thinking correctly.
That's exactly how I would be if that was that guy, too.
Yeah.
It would be like, thank goodness you're here.
Finally!
It's about flipping time.
Yes.
You're here.
This guy's been watching the Nick Shirley Somali, Minnesota stuff.
100%.
And he's been like, oh my gosh, it's happening here.
That's a great American right there.
Yeah.
That sees exactly what's going on. He's probably made calls. He's probably said some things. He's probably asked some questions, and gotten nowhere with it. Or maybe he's been a little afraid to or something like that. I don't know. But it's like you can just see the look on his face. And
Yes.
he's like, man, the cavalry is here.
Let's see. We've got Freedom Bobby over on the LFA chat. They're all their degrees are fraud. They don't do the jobs. They scam people on the phone. Let's see. All fraud. Let's see here. Somebody was saying, on the previous video, if I'm on stolen land, why am I paying taxes? That's a great point.
These are the people that call senior citizens like my little grandmother in Paragould, Arkansas, and try to scam her out of her Medicare ID number so that they can then sell that out to companies that will use that Medicare number to set up hospice houses that she's never even heard of before. This is how it works, folks. Like, these are the scammers. These are the fraudsters. These are the scum of the earth, and I wish nothing but bad things for them.
Well, there was that movie Beekeeper. Did you see that movie Beekeeper with Jason Statham about the call? I don't know if they were full of Indians. They were full of white people. But yeah, the whole premise and plot of that movie is that there's an old lady who has all this money in charities, and she gets scammed out of it by this whole operation, and she's so distraught that she commits suicide. She kills herself.
Yeah.
So then this guy who's like ex-special forces or whatever, some hitman, just goes on a
Jason Statham.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
He goes on this revenge
What do you
blood
do,
mission
mate?
to take down the whole operation, and it eventually leads all the way to the White House. in that particular movie. More on this incredible work from Tyler Oliveira about he's exposing the Texas Indian invasion in Frisco, Texas.
Filed 23 LCAs, and there wasn't a soul in their unit. Everything was
So they
empty.
just walked in there.
Hello? Hello?
The door was open.
Knock, knock. This one didn't even have a sign on the door. Talenton Technologies claims to have 6 H-1Bs. No one's here. In-office presence on the following days. Tuesday and Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Where were our elite Indian engineers and programmers holding the American economy on their shoulders? We have DevApps IT. This is the best looking one thus far. We have 11 H-1Bs. No one's here.
Our politicians
Hey, your neighbors
hate us. They hate us.
here.
I haven't seen anybody over there now.
We think they might be running a body shop.
Oh, here in Frisco?
Yeah.
I get it.
What do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised. Last time I saw somebody here was probably 4 months ago.
4 months ago? That's crazy. Were they Indians?
Yeah.
They appear to be
Love
body
this.
shops. Basically, all I'm asking is, are there revolving doors of empty office complexes with a bunch of
And
Indians?
there's revolving people.
Revolving
So
people,
we're-
different people.
We're in this unit here,
Okay.
the one next to us.
Okay.
People show up about every,
So you see a new group of people coming in and out of there?
and most of the time it's empty.
It's empty.
Like probably 11 months out of the year.
If you found out there were 10 body shops running out of this complex, what would your thoughts be?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It just, the way that things are here in America right now, it just it wouldn't surprise me. Like,
You think we're cooked?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. It doesn't seem like Abbott really cares that much. Like, he's probably getting paid himself, so our whole government's cooked.
But to my surprise, we finally found an office with an Indian inside.
Okay,
But the
here we
sign
go.
they had hanging in their office listed a different company than what they had filed under. Is this Grand IT LLC? You guys work here?
Yeah.
This is a body shop?
No, it's IT service.
Are you guys a staffing company?
Yeah, IT staff.
Sweet. What's your name?
Sachin?
Sachil? Tyler. Good to meet you.
Tyler, what's the name of this place?
Grand IT LLC, right?
Grand IT LLC, and this is one more.
Wait, what's this?
Software guild. It's
So
IT
you
staff.
guys share offices or what?
No. Like,
So are you guys Grand IT or Executive
Both.
Software?
We have both companies.
Both, okay. And you're not a scammer.
no.
Who was Executive Software Guild Inc. and who is this Prada-dripped Indian? Where were the other employees? What do we got? We got a brand new TV right here.
Generational wealth.
Yeah, it's a brand new TV. It's like a regular meeting area.
Okay. And how many people work here?
6 people.
Okay. What are their names?
So, I mean, we have multiple people changing. We have Vishnu, we have Madhavi, we have Hari. They are working directly from the client area.
And tell me some of the clients where the H-1Bs get staffed at. Are we talking like Verizon, like Deloitte? Who do we got?
We work for multiple clients. We work for USAA. We also work for Verizon.
So I gotta ask, why would anyone print out LCAs and pin them on the wall?
I mean, if someone like a ICE department, we can just show them directly. If they come for any verification of the candidate,
Yeah.
we can show them, yeah, we are doing the certification or
And we have software developer. We have, who's this guy? What does he do?
Vishnu is the owner of the company.
Okay, he owns the company.
This is
okay,
great
we got
that
another
he's
sort
just
of
letting
empty
him in
office
there to
set up here, and I like that.
document
It's
all of this.
amazing.
It doesn't challenge you,
So-
doesn't change you. It's a good point.
It's like he's so caught
why
off
is it the
guard.
Maryland law,
Well, it's
labor
not
law?
only so caught off guard, but it just shows you that nobody.
Wait, why does that say Maryland?
That's a great point. I will rewind it here in a minute. But like, it just goes to show you that these guys have no fear of them ever being caught in any sort of, they have no fear at all.
What'd you say a while ago when you said who'd you say hate us?
Our politicians.
Oh, our politicians.
Our
yeah.
politicians literally, I mean, you watch
They
something
must.
like this and they absolutely hate the people that were born here and actually live here. Because all of their policies, when it comes to this is only hurting the country. And you hear what he said, like, so, I mean, you mean that the American economy that rests on the shoulders of these H-1Bs, they're not here in their office where they're paying at least $2,000 a month for? It's just absolutely maddening. Okay, I want to know why that says Maryland as well when we're in Texas.
And we have software developer. We have, who's this guy? What does he do?
Vishnu is the owner of the company.
Okay, he owns the company. Yeah. Okay, we got another sort of empty office set up here, and I like that quote, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. It's a good point. So why is it the Maryland labor law postings up there?
I mean,
And it's like the workers' compensation in Maryland. That's what I'm trying to figure out. All the Maryland paperwork right here. I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking questions, yeah.
We work for the Maryland state as well.
I see. So you guys do CPA for Maryland?
Yeah.
You guys do accounting too?
Yeah, accounting too.
That makes sense. And you're not lying to me?
Huh?
You're not lying to me?
No.
Okay, all right.
That's the reason we have posted all these.
I see. I would just think you would post Texas labor law and postings, because we're in Texas. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Why would you post on Texas? It doesn't matter.
Furniture and appliances scattered throughout the mostly empty office. Not to mention, why was this on their wall? On our way out, I couldn't help but notice this 6-figure luxury car in the parking lot. Oh, I gotta ask him. One last thing. Is this your Range Rover? My man, don't be humble. Give us a quick whip tour. This thing's badass. See, that's proof of the American dream right there. The American dream's real, right? Yeah. The IT staffing business was clearly profitable, so we went to another cluster of suspected.
I want to keep going with this. I really do, but I don't know. I'm just totally, it's everywhere. And if this continues, it's like. It's not just going to happen in Minnesota. It's not just if it's happening in Texas. It's going to happen in Arkansas if it hasn't already. It's certainly not happened in this degree where I'm at. But basically, no place is safe.
Yeah, when the Minnesota things first came out, it was like I started shaking my head like, no, that's Ilhan Omar's little crew up there. That's Tim Waltz. I get it. When I started hearing rumblings before it really came out, hey, Eric, wait till you start hearing about the Medi-Cal and healthcare related fraud in California. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense too. I mean, that's Gavin Newsom's territory. Of course it's happening there. Yeah, Minnesota, California. We were hearing a little bit of the rumblings about Ohio and stuff like that. We started seeing a lot of reports from Maine, and I was like, yeah, that governor of Maine's horrible. That totally makes sense. This is Dallas, Texas Metro,
and we know that they want to turn Texas blue. We know that.
This is Dallas, Texas Metro. So
it really makes you think about how critical the Supreme Court decision on birthright citizenship really is. You can get H-1B. Come over here. You get a dowry from some Indian dad that wants to send their daughter to America, so he pays an outrageous dowry to the H-1B Indian. They come over. They have kids. The kids are now U.S. citizens.
You have millions and millions of Americans that work hard every day, pay an absolutely insane amount of taxes to the federal and state governments where they live, pay sales taxes, pay income taxes, pay hamburger taxes, pay gas taxes, pay
50%.
They're absolutely battered and pummeled by taxes while working 40-hour plus jobs to raise families and to be good citizens. And then those people have to sit there and try to stomach this that's going on in their backyards, where those same governments, where they're paying taxes to half of 50 cents of every dollar every year, is going to people like that, and to people at the Leering Center, and to people like, the hospice fraudsters in California and all over, because those are federal dollars going to those places. So our federal taxes are going to pay that. It just makes people get to the point to where they're going to start to rise up, throw in the towel, and we've got a real problem the more of this stuff that comes out.
Now we move over to Prosper, Texas. So they go from Frisco to Prosper, Texas.
Ghost offices. Okay, so we have Slesha IT Inc. right there. There's a guy inside. Hi there. Are you working on behalf of Slesha IT?
Yes.
Okay, hi there. My name's Tyler. We're conducting a workplace inspection.
Okay.
Are the other 4 engineers that work here present today?
Uh-huh.
Where are they?
In each room.
Oh, in each room? Can you show me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. How are you doing today? Okay, and who is this? This appeared to finally be the first company with actual H-1B Indians on site working on their laptops as you might have hoped. While they are replacing American workers, I guess at the very least they're real.
Are you allowed to be in here?
You guys let me in.
Who let you in?
He did.
But you told some workplace inspection, right?
Yeah, I'm conducting a workplace investigation
You're
on behalf
from
of
News,
owners.
right?
Correct.
Then how are you inside a private?
I just knocked on the door and you guys let me in.
And we would like you to go now.
And I'm headed out.
All right.
All right, 1300 West Walnut Hill Lane, Irving, Texas. Let's go. Finding an Indian in an office was like a needle in a haystack. Most of the time, my knocks were met with silence and a locked door. The American
Finding
economy
an Indian in an office
by the second. No one's here at either of the Pomelo locations. Margins for these IT staffing companies must have been enormous. To rent offices purely to achieve compliance on paper for the labor condition applications they needed for their H-1B armies. 6 in-office
Hi,
LCAs.
if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
There should be 6 LCAs in that office. And then I finally found another Indian whose story painted an even bleaker vision of the future. How many H-1Bs do we have in office today?
Right now, we don't have any.
We don't have any?
Actually closing the company.
You're closing the company?
Yes.
Okay, so you have the LCAs on the wall here.
Yes.
You guys are going out of business?
Yes.
I'm sorry to hear.
So
Okay.
basically, this is what happened, right? So
Yeah.
basically, we were in the business for almost 10 years.
Okay.
We filed all the H1s, but later on, like because of this AI and everything,
Yeah.
so we kind of, wrapping it up, everything, and then it's kind of, closing off.
His entire H-1B staffing company imported from India was now obsolete as AI became increasingly advanced. As Americans were replaced by Indians, the Indians were beginning to be replaced by AI.
There is this misconception that all the H1 guys are like they are taking the jobs.
Yeah.
The thing what I wanted to explain is that these are not full-time jobs, right? So they are on a specialized skills. Only then they have those jobs and get it. But if you ask me, is there an abuse? Probably I would say yes. But then if you take the percentage of it, might be very less. And definitely what I would say is probably USCIS investigating all the things. They have to do all the paperwork and everything good.
Countless offices were husks of their former selves. Perhaps the IT gold rush was over.
That's interesting. So here's the deal: when the AI takes over, like it's going to take over, does that mean do the Indians go back, or do they just find a way to stay here? So now we've got more problems and more poverty. That's a whole nother question. All right, one.
I did appreciate and respect this guy's.
I did too.
This guy's perspective and the way he was talking about it transparently, and it reminds me of my mom growing up at the grocery store telling me, son, mommy has to show her ID when she writes a check, not because I write bad checks, but because there's a whole lot of other people that wrote bad checks, and now, Kroger has a policy where I have to show my ID when I write a check, so I'm paying for the mistakes and the scams of others. It's like, guys like that, if they really are legit, are ticked off at the fact that all the other stuff before it was obvious fake scammers.
AV 1965 on LFA TV says, I think I'm pissed off enough for one day, going to go watch a comedy to change my mood. Well, there you go.
Go watch an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
all
right.
watch it together.
That's right. There's a viral clip of I think YouTube will give us a strike, but there's a viral clip of Seinfeld going on about all the times that they actually talked about real world conspiracies that have turned out to be true. And a lot of it's Kramer being like, "Oh, you don't want to give to that. That's a scam."
Yeah.
And it was basically
all this stuff is very predictable.
Basically talking about USAID. You can't give money to them. That's a scam.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more than just that. And it was like, wow, Seinfeld was actually telling the truth about a lot of that stuff.
There were some really sharp people in the 90s. A lot of Nostradamus types
I guess,
back in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, who was the writer there? Larry
David.
Larry David, yeah. He knows.
With signs still on the wall.
Real quick, a little bit more of this, and I want to move on to something else.
Come on in. The paperwork on file led us on a wild goose chase
Just
to
ghost
the back
offices.
room.
Not a single piece of furniture here. The sign on the door, empty room.
We just need so many
empty
more people
everything.
like
Do
this.
the lights even work? Are they paying electricity?
Well, yeah.
The first thing you
They
have to
are.
do is
gotta
shed
have-
light on it.
You gotta have people
before
like this.
it-
But yeah,
You
know,
shouldn't have to.
You need a massive, like you just need a massive law enforcement push, you know. And I know JD Vance is in charge of it, but I mean, now he's in charge of peace in the Middle East, going to Pakistan. But like, something's got to happen. I mean, then you get Greg Abbott. You got Greg Abbott, you know, where the people are like, yeah, we don't trust this guy. We think, you know, he's the reason that this has all happened. Is Greg Abbott? How many economic development? This is a great question. How many economic development trips? Because these governors love to do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
They love, like,
It's great PR.
Asa Hutchinson, when he was governor of Arkansas, he loved to go to China to try to get Chinese companies in here and would actually give them taxpayer dollars to move here and build factories here. And then the same Chinese companies that he inked taxpayer deals with were on his son's website as clients of a law firm that Governor Asa Hutchinson was actually listed as the owner of the law firm. And then when that was exposed, they took his name down. But the same Chinese companies that were given economic development deals to locate in Arkansas were clients of his son's law firm, just like Hunter Biden. It was a mini Hunter Joe Biden situation. It was unbelievable, and nothing happened because of it. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And you could have wrapped up a Republican and a Democrat by just being consistent with what is obviously corrupt. Obviously. But they don't want to do it. And so I would love to know how many economic development trips has Greg Abbott gone over to India on? How many? That'd be great. I don't know, but it just dawned on me, like, we should look that up, because I bet you he's been to India, you know, because all these governors love to go on foreign trips to try to recruit businesses here. And by the way, no one had a problem with it back then. Like in Arkansas's case, no one had a problem with doing business with the communist Chinese. It was just like nothing, like no big deal. And yet, if you'd have gone to Russia and been like, we want Russia to invest in,
right,
people would have lost their minds.
Yeah.
But not for the communist Chinese. It's so ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so I want to change topics, and I want to talk about beef.
Let's go.
I want to talk about beef, and I want to talk about monopolies. I want to talk about beef, and I want to talk about monopolies. So it's no secret that this has become a huge problem. That you are paying an outrageous amount of money in the grocery store for groceries, but specifically for meat and specifically for beef. And I'm sick of it, and it's time that it stops. So here's what nobody is telling you about beef prices today in America. Americans are paying more for beef than ever. But what about the ranchers? You would think that if you're paying outrageous prices at the store, that the ranchers would be doing well, but they're not. Ranchers are actually barely getting by, much like our row crop farmers here in the Mississippi Delta. So Congress, they held hearings about this, and they've held multiple hearings, but one stuck out in my mind. It was from all the way back in 2021. People were still kind of wearing masks as well, and they were Skyping in. They had people in person as well. And that hearing, as well as others, is actually eye-opening. Okay, so on the one side, in this particular hearing that happened in Congress in D.C. in 2021, they were trying to address this problem of rising prices. That has only gotten worse. Okay, so on the one side, you had actual cattle producers. Okay, they were testifying that the system is broken. They were saying that the meat packers are actually controlling the supply, that the meat packers are limiting competition, and that they're just taking the profits all for themselves. But then on the other side, you had industry economists, we were told. You had trade groups saying that, no, this is just all normal. This is just supply and demand, nothing to see here. The market is fine. You had that was at the same hearing. You had two completely different realities being testified to back in 2021. So here's the part that that should concern all of us. What we're talking about here is a monopoly. You have four companies that control roughly 85% of beef processing here in the United States. That's not a free market. That's a choke point. That is a monopoly. So one of my senators, okay, who's, obviously deep and he's your senator too, Senator John Boozman. He sits on the committee. This particular hearing, he was there. So, what did he say back in 2021? What did Senator Boozman say when we were trying to talk about what's going on with the meat packing, what's going on with cattle rack? He warned. What he said was, we may be moving too fast. He said that lawmakers should, quote, take a measured approach, end quote, and avoid, quote, unintended consequences, end quote, from the new rules. He questioned whether cracking down on the meat packers would just add additional burdens and duplicate existing authorities. Of course, practically on the ground, we're still paying higher and higher prices. So instead of siding with the ranchers and calling for reform, he pointed out what he called preeminent economists, basically the same kinds of experts that are telling Congress that nothing is wrong. Nothing to see here. This is just the market. So ranchers are saying that the system is rigged. Consumers, though, are paying more than ever. Like I don't really even care. Like I'm a small government guy, but I also want the government to fix actual problems. The ranchers are saying that the system is rigged, consumers are paying more than ever, and Congress does nothing about it. The response from Washington is just slow down, trust the system, listen to the economic experts that I'm sure are in the pockets of the meatpacking industry. These 4 companies, basically. So if the producers are losing money, here's the question. If the producers are losing money and families are paying more at the store, who's winning? And the answer is the meatpacking people are winning. That's the truth is. You're talking about 4 companies that control 80 to 85% of beef processing. Tyson, which is an Arkansas company, that may explain Senator Boozman's position. Let's just be honest. JBS, Cargill, National Beef. Okay? So if you're a rancher, you've got very limited places that you can sell. You've basically got those 4. There's a few others, but you've basically got those 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a barbecue guy. Meat is too high. Brisket is too high. It's just insane. It is insane that the people are suffering. This is another example of while we're all focused on the Middle East and these shiny things, and H-1Bs are taking over Texas, and you've got Muslim enclaves, propping up here in Arkansas. You've got the Somalis in Minnesota and in Ohio. You've got all this fraud in California. Our country is really on the cliff here, and we're all focused on this next war in the Middle East or whatever. Our country is dying on the vine. And the beef, the food prices are out of control, but specifically the beef. So the monopolies are not a thing in America, okay? They're not supposed to be a thing, but they are a thing. And we don't have a Congress that's willing to do something about it. They cannot stand up to the special interests. They are failing to stand up to the Republican donors. And this is everything. This is everything from the price of beef to H-1Bs to how come Congress, a Republican-controlled Congress, will not pass a law that says doctors and parents may not mutilate the genitals of children. They will not pass that law by itself or attached to the Save America Act. They will not do it because the donors don't want them to do it. So I'm disgusted with all of this. I am not blackpilling because there are more people awake now than ever. And the longer Congress waits and the longer Congress ignores the American people and the longer the special interests and the donors dictate what the real priorities are of this country, the longer it happens, the more the rage is going to build. And the more I do believe that there's a way out of this. And I do believe that people are going to get what we want. I really believe that. And it may be from drastic measures where the generation that's going to come of age in the next 20 years says our system does not work. Our system is a complete failure. And on paper, it may look good, but then you pass rules like the silent filibuster, which robs us of our own government. It robs us of having young senators that can stay up for 24, 48 hours and actually do their jobs and debate on the floor and pass amendments and propose amendments. Right now, and I'll say this again, if you got rid of the silent filibuster, people like Mitch McConnell might be put in the grave having to stay up for 24 hours. Chuck Schumer, all these guys, Chuck Grassley, although I might like Grassley. I think Grassley is actually on the right side of the meatpacking issue. He's not on the right side of the blue slip process, but you know what I'm saying? Like we've got all of these people up there, they're the only way they're able to do their jobs is by what I think is an unconstitutional silent filibuster. Because if they actually both Democrat and Republican had to sit on the Senate floor and do the job of the American people and actually legislate, they've literally taken the work of legislating away from the legislative branch, and they've done it themselves. They're the reason why we don't actually get to try out ideas in this country. We don't get to try out the radical left's ideas when they take power and then reject them. We don't get to try out the right's, I think, sound ideas to see if they actually work and fix people's problems. No, instead, you got to have 60 votes. You got to have 60 votes for the populists to win. And you know what? If we ever get 60 votes, they'll find another reason. They'll say, "Oh, well, we really need 3/4. We need 3/4 before we can actually pass anything." So that's my rant. Brisket prices are too high. I would lead a populist revolt on that one issue. So
that was awesome.
Was it really awesome though? I don't know if it was awesome, but I appreciate your confidence. I mean, I know you're you're an aspiring pitmaster as well.
Well, and I will say that we buy our beef locally. So I don't feel like I have this problem because we buy our beef from a local, beef farmer. We literally will pick out ours, and that'll be the one that they'll raise up, and it's worth it for us to pay what we pay, hanging weight wise, to be able to get that one cow processed for us, and it takes care of us for a really long time. I don't see why more people don't do that. Like, I see people in the aisles at Walmart and other places looking in the meat section, and I can see the look on their faces when they see that ground beef is $6.99 a pound. And I can see them making decisions like, golly, like what's going on here? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them will end up reaching for that nasty, cheap tube stuff that I just have some fundamental health-related problems with the way that stuff is processed and put together. But, it just is what it is. It's frustrating. I shouldn't have just sat there like, oh, wow, that was awesome. But what I meant to say was, like, I hear exactly what you're saying, and a lot of people are saying it, but who's going to do anything about it? Has the ship sailed? Has the train left the station? Because you and I have seen the interviews and videos of some of these cattle ranchers that say, if I say anything, my contracts will get cut, and they'll just go on to someone else.
Right.
Like, I can't tell them that feed prices have gone up too high and diesel prices have gone up too high and all of my costs and all of my overhead have gone up, and you're not giving me anything to compensate me for that, for my increased ability to take that calf to, large scale beef to where we can process it and go. Like, so what's the solution? We can't just have a rant without some way of saying, well, okay, here's some solutions.
You've also got the Brazil situation,
Yeah, we're importing from Argentina.
And there's reports out there that the politicians in Brazil have just openly, for the most part, as much as you can, it just accepted bribes. I mean, it is cut and dry what's going on there. There's just a lot of money to be involved. And on the other side of this, Eric, we have the environmental aspect of it from these environmental whack jobs, these Gaia worshipers who don't, there's a World Economic Forum movement where they don't want us to eat meat. By the way, meat, and that's because I think meat, especially beef, is the hardest thing. Even if you raise cows in an inhumane way, they still got to have enough room to kind of move around. They can't just be in these cages that they put pigs in or chickens in, right? They have to. They may be crammed and they may be in a really depressing area, like, with industrial, just like a fence with some dirt and they're shoulder to shoulder. But it's versus the pigs that are stacked in cages and they're eating each other's feces as it drops down,
No, thank you.
I mean, beef is a healthy alternative, in my opinion, to get around so much of what's killing us. Ketogenic diets, it's a good therapy. Maybe not long-term, but it's a very good therapy.
Thanks to the Maha movement, too, by the way, for the update on the fact that fats are good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean,
so
we've literally turned the pyramid upside down from a whole generation of people that thought that you needed umpteen billion grains to get you through. It's just,
so you
give me a steak.
You've got this overarching.
Give me brisket. Give me brisket.
Yeah, that's right. You got this overarching plot. It's out there from these radical environmentalists. Like, you're going to eat bugs. There's this movement to eat bugs and like it. You're going to own nothing, and you'll be happy, and you'll like it. Also, we need you to quit eating meat. And so we're just supposed to believe that this is a coincidence when the directive has been given from literal, real-life James Bond villains at the World Economic Forum, and we're just supposed to believe it's a coincidence. It's just market forces that we have a monopoly with beef packing, and the ranchers can barely get by. They would love to eliminate those jobs, too, just like they want to give all our farmland to Bill Gates. No, it's just a coincidence, though. It's just absolutely insane what's going on, and I'm sick of it. There's a lot of work to do in this country. There's a lot of things that need to be codified, and I'm still praying for peace. I'm still praying for our troops. I'm praying to find an off-ramp. I want the war to be ended. I know some of you in the chat, LFA chat in particular, disagree. I guess I don't think you can take out Iran. And I think this is the impasse, and I'll reiterate it. I don't think you can take out Iran to the level that some people want with just bombs. Unless you use a nuke, which is ridiculous to even really entertain. I think some people might be wanting to entertain that. But unless you use a nuke, the only other way to do it is to send in 100,000, 200,000 ground troops that I don't even think we have, by the way. I don't think a lot of Americans realize that the Army doesn't get the money that it used to get for this very idea that if we ever do get in a ground war, that you see us coming from a mile away. Because right now, all this Iran stuff aside, the U.S. military's been preparing for conflicts with China. That's kind of the big thing, right? Well, so what does that war look like? Well, it doesn't look like sending 200,000 troops, sailing towards China when they'll be able to see you coming, days away, right? That's not what it looks like. So they're not putting money into a ground force. We haven't been putting money into a ground force for a while. Okay, so you have to understand that. And then you look at the Iran situation, and you look at the conventional weapons they have, which Fox News doesn't want to tell you that. They don't want to tell you what we're really up against there. Even though we have been bombing them, they're not. Why do they still have? Why is Israel still getting hit? Right. So anyway, I think ground troops. I'm against ground troops. I'm against the war, but I'm against ground troops. It would be a huge mistake. To once again go down this same path. That, by the way, we said when this thing started, oh, come on, they're not going to be ground troops. Yeah, okay, well, let's make sure that doesn't happen. Eric Haynes, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much for being with us.
So great to be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. Always great to have you in when you can be here. Folks, we're going to be back here tomorrow. I want to give a shout-out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, 7 Weeks Coffee, and Sherrod Chiropractic, and we will see you tomorrow.